Hello everyone, my name is Justin.
And I'm Mindy.
And we are your hosts. This video is about one of South Louisiana's most famous hauntings, the Houmas House. From all the sources we checked into, the Houmas House has two famous hauntings. Let's start with a little history.
The Houmas Plantation was built around 1775 by Alexander Latil in a traditional French colonial style. The land for the plantation was appropriated from the Houma tribe on the east side of the Mississippi River in 1774. The plantation was already a fully functioning sugarcane farm when it was acquired by the United States in 1803 via the Louisiana Purchase. Fun fact, in June of 1807, a man named Daniel Clark and the territorial governor, William C. Claiborne, fought a duel on the very property. There is some debate by scholars whether the house that stands today is the original structure or not.
The first of the two hauntings we'll cover in this video is the legend of the gentleman. The gentleman in this story is referenced to the majestic oak trees on the ground of the plantation, aptly named by John Burnside, owner of the plantation in the late 1800s. After the Great Flood of 1927, levees started being built around the Mississippi River in order to prevent such a catastrophe from ever occurring again. With the new construction, many forests were clear-cut to make way for the life-saving structures. Construction around the now mostly abandoned plantation started to take place. 16 of the levee workers decided they needed a little extra money. And in true Paul Bunyan style, they concocted a plan to float oak trees down the river to New Orleans to earn that money. All 16 of these men, their bodies were never found. While this was happening, the caretaker of the plantation, Mr. Green, and his wife were on vacation, and they returned to notice that the 8 remaining gentlemen on the property, being the oak trees, no longer stood straight. They were bent and withered, almost as if mourning the loss of their brothers. Engineers of the levee control system have claimed that the trees changed appearance due to the lack of water after the levee went up. The members of the Houmas Indian tribe, however, they believe otherwise. The legend the Houmas tribe still claim to this day is that the still standing gentlemen are inhabited by the spirits of the deceased workers, trapped for eternity in the brothers that still stand after wrongfully removing the other trees, trapped forever for their sin of greed and selfishness. What do you think about that story, Mindy?
Who the hell floats down trees on the Mississippi River?
You got a good point there. I believe that back in that time, the early 1800s, the education system wasn't that good.
Trees aren't boats. Even in the 1800s, trees weren't boats.
Coming from experience, considering that I work on the Mississippi River full-time as a tugboat captain, I can honestly say that floating a log down it in any time, especially back when it was uncontained, is a very ill-advised thing to do. Especially considering you put 16 men on a huge Tom Sawyer raft floating down the river. How would they even steer it?
They would lean from side to side, like on a motorcycle.
Okay. They would lean from side to side. That's a good way to. That's a pretty good way to drive that thing. Holy cow! I was thinking maybe use a. Everybody has a paddle or something, but everyone to the left, everyone to the right. That is pretty interesting. That's a good way to look at it. Any other thoughts on the gentleman haunting?
Mm-mm.
No? Alright, well let's move on to the second one, which you're reading.
The second haunting at the Houmas House is known as La Petite Fille, or the Little Girl. In the spring of 2003, the Houmas House was purchased by Kevin Kelly at auction. In the summer of the very same year, massive renovations were done to the property, giving it a much-needed facelift. In doing so, they quite literally left no stone unturned. During this process, it is believed that something on the property was awakened, something that should have stayed buried. A worker on the electrician crew was the first to report seeing a child, a young girl, on the freestanding stairway. His initial concern was the child shouldn't be allowed in a construction site, as she appeared to be around 7 to 10 years old and likely to be injured with all the work going on around her. Everyone brushed this off as something not very important and suggested that he get back to work. Later that evening, 2 other members of the crew saw a young girl in a blue dress with dark smoldering eyes and brunette hair in the same location. Before they could confront the girl about being in the way of the work at hand, she was gone. Word started to spread among the workers rapidly about someone's daughter in the work site, as she did not appear to be anything other than a cute little girl lurking around. Not a single worker claimed to have any knowledge of who the young girl might be. Since then, the renovations have been completed and the plantation is open for tours of its beautiful gardens and main home. Many guests and tour guides of the plantation have been caught unaware when they notice a little girl all alone walking among the tour groups, or standing alone on the stairs. Any time that someone approaches her to ask if she needs assistance, she is said to just disappear right before your very eyes. The identity of the young girl is a mystery to this day, but there are some clues in the history of the house to suggest who she might be. Around 1900, Colonel William Porter Miles and his wife Harriet's daughter of 7 years old died due to illness and was buried in the ground cemetery. During the construction of the levees, the cemetery disappeared and many of the grave sites were disturbed. Where the cemetery stood would be buried beneath the levee. The bodies of the cemetery were moved, but maybe the spirits are still lurking around. It is encouraged by staff at the plantation that if you see a little girl in a blue dress on one of your tours, try to ask her name.
Now, it could just be me, but if I see a little girl that people believe is a ghost, I think I'm gonna run the other way. You think you would ask that little girl her name?
No, I think I'd probably drop dead.
Dead, huh?
Yeah.
Be the new ghost of the Houmas Plantation. I can believe it. You're not exactly brave.
Nah, I'd have a heart attack if I seen a ghost.
Well, it's a good thing that all we have to do is research them.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I would react, but I believe that it would change my life, probably in a bad way. If we were to see that. So that was the video, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we hope that if you like this content, you'll like the channel, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. And hopefully we'll see you soon in the next one.